Hi, Minnie.
Hi,
How are you?
great.
Yeah, Minnie, I've known you for quite a long time. I know you are a vegan. Can you tell me what happened? And you were a vegetarian earlier.
True.
So can you tell me what made you a vegetarian and what made you a vegan later?
Vegan. Okay. So from a young age, I was very fond of animals. I always felt connected to them in the sense that if they were suffering or something, it used to hurt me. It always used to move me. Their suffering was something I could not take. So as a child, when I was playing with my cousins near my father's farm, I saw once chicken being slaughtered. So farms, that happens a lot. People raise chicken, and then when some guest comes home, some important event, they will just take one of them and just slash the head. And so it was a quick severe of the head, and the bird just fell down and started to flutter. So that was something that hurt me a lot, and it was a connection I felt. I think until then, even though I loved animals, the fact that the food that is coming on your plate had something to do with their suffering was lost on me. So it is a disconnect that you feel like whatever food is being served, you eat, you don't think too much about where it came from. So it was a connection I felt very quickly, because I just realized that the bird was being killed so that there is food. Yeah, there will be
So the
now.
chicken on your plate is the same as the bird,
The
and
bird,
that connection came for you.
yeah, and it goes through unwanted suffering, but for you to eat it, and that I felt was very unfair, and I felt it was not right on our part to cause suffering, immense suffering to this animal for us to eat it. So I turned vegetarian overnight. I just, yes,
And you were only 11 at that time.
I was 11 years old.
Oh
Yes.
my God,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great, Minnie.
I was, yeah. So I just turned vegetarian. I stopped. I said I will never eat meat, and this on the same token, I stopped eating fish too. So I grew up in Kerala, right? And Kerala, fish is one of the staple
I know.
diet, and every day fish is probably on your plate.
Yeah.
And I was immediately able to realize that fish too, are animals. I mean, they also feel pain, they must be feeling pain. So I just stopped both eating fish and meat, but I continue to eat eggs, because somehow I thought eggs were not a product of suffering, and
They are not alive.
not alive. I don't know, I didn't feel anything wrong in consuming eggs. So eggs I was still eating, and also dairy. The thing of dairy was totally lost. I mean, nobody ever considered that to be something wrong, because milk was like, it's an everyday thing. You drink milk for your health. If you didn't drink milk, it was something wrong. And I was actually lactose intolerant, which I didn't know at the time, because if I ever consumed milk as milk, I used to feel sort of like uneasy in my stomach.
Okay.
And I never liked having milk by itself. So at a very young age, my parents started giving me coffee and tea, because that was more tolerable. I mean, my stomach could tolerate that
Less milk.
more than like
Milk.
having plain milk. So I started having coffee, tea also at a very young age. But the cruelty behind milk was not something I realized at that time. So from the age of 11 to the time I was almost more than 30, around the time I went to the US, I was exposed to a lot of articles or visuals about chicken being subjected to a lot of cruelty for eggs. So this whole thing of battery cage chicken, I didn't know it was called battery cages at the time. There was a lot of exposure around it. And I just stopped consuming eggs at that point.
Oh, okay.
And so that was probably when I was maybe a little more than 30 at that time. And I was living in the US. And then later on, slowly, I think, the fact that when one made choices to
Okay.
reduce suffering or mitigate suffering
Yeah,
of an
yeah.
animal,
Okay.
your mind starts thinking in certain ways, like always you kind of think, am I causing something wrong?
Oh,
Or
really?
that
Okay.
sense of responsibility keeps coming to you, and you start thinking. And then there was also a lot of exposure about dairy at the time, and why dairy was
You mean in
cruel
the US?
in the US.
Okay.
Yes, dairy was so. I think because I was tuned to such kind of topics,
Yes, yes.
it was not that it just stared at your face or anything, but as someone who was a little more conscious
Aware
about
of
my
such things.
choices, I think these kind of things interested me.
Okay.
So I slowly started to reduce my dairy consumption also.
Okay.
But however, I didn't feel like terribly wrong in consuming dairy. I always thought, okay, fine, you're consuming something which after the calves drank, it is not something you're doing totally wrong. And as a South Indian, I was raised consuming a lot of curd.
Curd,
And a meal without curd was something I couldn't imagine.
not a meal.
It's not a meal. And whenever I traveled somewhere and came back home, the thing I really missed was curd.
Was curd.
So curd was something very, very close to my heart, and it was something. Even though I was aware of a lot of cruelty behind dairy,
Okay.
curd was something I could not live without.
Live without.
And I did not stop having curd for a very, very long time, even though I consciously I stopped consuming milk as milk, and even like started substituting soy milk, and also stopped various other things which
Cheese and butter.
cheese and butter. No, actually cheese and butter I continue to have them. I
Okay.
continue to have them much after. And after I moved to India,
Okay.
so a lot of things happened around the time I moved to India. Starting
Can you
of
tell me roughly when this was, when you moved to India?
So I moved to India in 2004.
Oh, okay.
2004,
Right.
early 2004 is when my husband and my dog, they moved here.
Oh.
And then I moved sometime towards the end of the year.
Okay.
But after I moved here, when I was going around the city, I found lots of animals suffering. So this had nothing to do with my veganism or my becoming vegan at that point.
Okay.
I was still vegetarian, and I was, conscious about many things, but I was not a vegan. But I saw several animals undergoing, accidents, subject to cruelty, abuse, disease, illness. And I also noticed that nothing much was being done. I mean, people were not like really going and trying to help them. There wasn't any conscious effort.
Okay.
So that made me think that there must be something we must do.
Okay.
And that was the origin of Humane Animal Society.
Oh, HAS.
Yes,
Okay.
HAS was founded in 2006
Oh,
because of my feeling of sheer helplessness at seeing a lot of animals suffering. That is really what motivated into founding of HAS.
Okay.
But once HAS was formed, and there was lot
So
and
HAS is Humane Animals
Society,
right?
correct, Humane
So
Animals.
you work for the dogs, I think, is it?
Not exactly working for dogs. At the time, it was mostly dogs that we rescued, but it was meant for all animals. It was meant to mitigate animal suffering, and it was also to have a common platform where everybody could come and
So
join.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This HAS is in Coimbatore.
Yes, HAS is in Coimbatore. So we moved from the US. We moved to Coimbatore in 2004. So HAS was founded in Coimbatore, and we started functioning around November of 2006. So while we started doing rescues, we started working more and more with animals. And you understand animals a lot more, and you realize that every sentient creature feels the same thing. And also the fact that dairy was so cruel was just very much evident from the fact that there was a lot of propaganda around it, and animals being that whole factory farming type of establishments were slowly beginning in India. Even though those were non-existent in India previously, IFCO had this mega dairy farm, and it was one of those big advertisements that was going on. And around the time, I had also joined FIAPO. What is
FIAPO?
FIAPO? FIAPO is a Federation of Indian Animal Protection Organizations.
Okay.
FIAPO is a consortium of NGOs, animal welfare organizations that come together
So
from
just a
different
minute,
parts.
what is this factory farming?
Factory farming is something called, like, it is similar to animal agriculture. So when you grow vegetables, you're growing in large numbers. You're
Large
putting
numbers. Okay.
So factory farming is like considering a sentient creature as a mere object, just to raise it for the purpose of them giving you something. It is their life is not of importance at
So
all.
like growing vegetables in large amounts, you grow animals in breed animals in large amounts.
Large amounts
Oh,
for
so that
for,
is
for
factory.
your own purpose.
Benefit.
It is, again, no consideration to their well-being, no consideration to their feeling of belonging or feeling of emotions or anything. There is absolutely, they are treated mere objects. And I saw that even the machines were connected to their udders, and they were like milked
To the
at
cow's udders.
to the cows
take the milk
to the
out.
milk out. And it was just a very horrendous sight. And I felt that even though curd was very very close to my heart, I felt I was such a hypocrite by consuming something, because it is very much dear to me. It is very I cannot live without, so it is okay to exploit an animal for me to consume
Just
it.
for
I
the
felt
curd,
it was
yeah.
very very hypocritical to even think about it. So again, I turned overnight, almost overnight. Look, so I decided, okay, on my birthday in 2010. So it was 6 years after I moved to India.
Okay.
4 years after I started Humane Animal Society.
Okay.
On my birthday in 2010, I just said I will be totally vegan. I will not consume anything from an animal anymore.
Okay.
And before that also, I had actually stopped using silk, leather,
and leather,
anything, any byproducts of exploitation. I had stopped using already. But my total vegan, I mean, the full consciously becoming a vegan happened in 2010.
2010.
Yes.
So for 14 years now.
It is, I've completed 13 years of
13
being a
years.
vegan. And I can say it is the best decision I ever made in my life. It is the most ethical decision, and every day I feel so grateful that I did it sooner than later. My only regret being, I was very connected to animals, and I felt so much all involved, and in spite of that, it took me so long to become a vegan. And I find it very strange. In fact, I regret the fact that even though I was exposed, I could have been a vegan long back, and I would have been not responsible for a lot more suffering during this period of time, which is something, but I'm glad I did what I did at the time I did. Better late than never.
So very nice, Minnie.
Yeah.
Like I am a vegan only for the past 3.5 years. I'm really thrilled to meet somebody who's been vegan for 13 years, and I envy you actually a little. So that's nice. I just have one more question for you. Are you facing any health issues because of this vegan plant-based diet?
Not at all. In fact, my health has actually improved. I never actually had health issues in the past also, I must say that. Even when I was a non-vegetarian, even when I was a vegetarian, and all of that, my health was quite okay. But being a vegan, my health actually improved, because I always feel more energetic, and I always feel very light, so that I don't feel that I am bogged down by something. And maybe it is a feeling in my heart and in my mind that I'm doing something good for me, good for myself, good for the planet, good for the animals. I don't know. The whole thing probably gives you that sense of happiness and the well-being or whatever. But I don't fall sick. Actually, I have very rarely fallen sick. Ever since I became a vegan, I hardly can remember a time when I truly fell sick. I had a mere mild, like cold or something like that. But I have never had a major illness. I mean, it's touch wood. I should not. The moment you say something, sometimes things go wrong. But I can tell you, for me personally, I would say my health actually improved.
Improved.
Yes.
So that's great to know, Minnie. Thank you so much. The one thing which I'm really admiring is, at 11 years of age, you made an immediate connection not just with the chicken but also with fish.
Yes.
Because many people don't know that fish suffers the same as us.
True. That is actually true. I mean, actually, sometimes I'm even surprised at myself because I was a very young child, and I just sometimes I feel, I mean, it was I'm so glad that I was able to see it. Even though that should not have happened, but because I saw it with my bare eye, I mean, I just saw it myself, right? It was not somebody told me not to see. I mean, I happened to see it. And the fact that I was able to make the decision just at that moment, and I am very thankful to my family. Actually, I must say that, because as a child, when some decisions like these are made, usually you'll never get a family support to continue.
Concerned about you.
They were very concerned. They were extremely concerned. They all felt that I would change very soon. They had a hope that this is not going to last and all that.
They were hoping that Minnie will start eating chicken
again. Yeah, they see, chicken was not. I wouldn't say chicken was that common in my household.
Okay.
But once a month or twice a month, definitely it will be there. But fish is something. It was staple diet, and for me, my stopping fish was like a tremendous blow, because the moment they make fish, they think your nutrition needs are taken care of. And my sisters and everybody else ate fish, but I wouldn't. So my mother had to think of very ingenious ways of how I would as my health needs will be met.
Instead of fish, what to give Minnie?
Yeah, so maybe that is probably one of the reasons I fell a victim to eating too much eggs, because that omelette they used to make me. They used to think, oh, you have to have some animal product for your health, but that is a myth. A lot of people believe that when you stop consuming animal products, your health goes for a toss, which is so wrong. But my parents also believed that, and when they realized that I was more stubborn with time, and I became stronger in my beliefs, they just allowed me to be, and they actually supported me a lot. And all my friends, I would say, overall in my life, I had a lot more people who supported my belief than people who made fun of me, or people who made me feel that I didn't belong.
Okay.
So I was very lucky. I must say that I was very lucky, and
maybe your conviction was the one which made them. You were not half-hearted. You did it wholeheartedly.
Yes.
That could have influenced others.
Yes. Yeah. I did it with all my heart, and I wouldn't say that any movie or anything like inspired me so much to become a vegan. After I became a vegan, all of those movies reinforced my beliefs, and I was glad. But I can't really say that this movie made me become a vegan. But Earthlings is one movie which deeply touched my heart, in the sense that it covered all aspects of exploitation. It is one place where I found everything that was related to exploitation, which I previously garnered from multiple sources. In one go, I just was able to see it in that one movie. Maybe I would attribute maybe that movie to be a very significant factor in my continued belief. Earthlings, yes.
So thank you so much, Minnie.
Thank you.
It was a real pleasure, to talk to you. I got to know more about you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this interview. I hope a lot more people will consciously make a decision based on their ethical views and make ethical choices, because that is what makes the difference. Conditioned views and normalizing violence is what we see every day. So breaking out of conditioning is something one has to consciously do it. I hope more and more people will be inspired to do it.
You cannot normalize violence. That's a good thing. So thank you, Minnie.
Thank you very much.